Pleasant good afternoon, everyone, to our esteemed panel, wonderful GW partners, ecosystem stakeholders, both here and abroad, special invited guests, YBTT directors, members of the GW Advisory Committee, our wider viewing audience, members of the media. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the launch of Global Entrepreneurship Week 2020. And let me also advise that we're streaming live on Facebook. Every November, more than 170 countries, including Trinidad and Tobago, are ablaze with the commemoration of Global Entrepreneurship Week, where we witness an amazing amalgamation of ecosystem stakeholders, from entrepreneurs to investors who celebrate and recognize entrepreneurship as a major economic game changer. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, Youth Business Trinidad and Tobago has been proudly holding the reins as local GW host, something which we cherish and embrace dearly. Today, you'll hear perspectives from our expert panel who may be operating in different spaces, but share one common vision, which is to continuously add value to the national ecosystem here in Trinidad and Tobago, using GW as a conduit to successfully achieve that vision. So once again, a warm welcome, and let me introduce our first speaker, our General Manager of YBTT, Shedron Collins.
All right, great. Thank you, Sandrine, and welcome to everyone on live and on Zoom. So first of all, let me just welcome my fellow speakers for today, Mr. Shiduki Singh from IDB, right? Who's been supporting YBTT for so long. I think pre-me, like I always say. Ms. Adele Rose from our partners at Massey Foundation. I must commend my chair for coming out today, Ms. Dale Loughlin, Chair of Youth Business Trinidad and Tobago, and Tamara, who's one of our GW partners, featuring all the partners today. So Tamara, you're on the spot for all the partners, so you have to represent.
No
All right, great. No pressure. All right, great. So, I mean, we always start off by saying the world needs more entrepreneurs. And really and truly, that is really the theme as we go forward for GW 2020 and GW beyond. The world needs more entrepreneurs. And the vision behind Global Entrepreneurship Week has always been to inspire new entrepreneurs, new risk takers, new problem solvers in the global market. But also, as our theme today, rekindling the entrepreneurial spirit of those who are already doing these things. Globally, we would have had we had several themes globally and priority areas that we wanted to focus on: inclusion, ecosystem, education, and policy. Now, locally here, and based on our discussions with our partners, and we see even new themes arising, the focus on agriculture as we dive into becoming diversified an economy of Trinidad and Tobago, as we move away from the oil and gas and wondering what are new sectors that we should be diving into. So agriculture being one of those main sectors. I mean, I'll do a shameless plug here and let's make sure that you check out our Let's Talk Agri discussion, right? And we see a resurgence of the creative industry because those are persons who would have really been affected along this pandemic time. So you see creative TT coming on board, film TT coming on board, fashion TT coming on board, music TT coming on board, and really representing the creative industry. And we try to rekindle that fire within them as well. We see a shift within digital and technologies as a new way of doing business. And we see a lot of our GW partners taking on the mantle to reintroduce how do we use our digital to create new business, to adapt in our businesses going forward. We see social entrepreneurship taking a stance. And as I always say, it is a responsibility of those who take on the mantle to become entrepreneurs to make the world a better place. So social entrepreneurship fits in correctly there. And another shameless plug, as we Youth Business Trinidad and Tobago, the local host, a focus on youth, right? From competitions to getting them thinking about ideas around how do we create exporting, right, as an alternative. And going back to the theme of GW, creating that new generation of entrepreneurs and inspiring the new generation to become entrepreneurs. And then we have several GW events catered for adapting and moving beyond GW. And I think when I was looking at the list of events and activities that focus on adapting and reigniting that entrepreneurial spirit for those who have failed, well, not even failed, those who have had challenges during this pandemic. And, the Maya Angelou quote in terms of, and still I rise, that always comes into play there. And I want to take this opportunity to ask persons to, there's a lot of events for GW, take the opportunity to invest what I call an investment in your entrepreneurial future. Sign up for an event, right? If you're on work, don't worry, listen to it in the background, right? Take this opportunity to sign up and become a GW, become part of the GW fraternity. Tell a friend. If you have a coworker and the next Saturday desk from you, make sure that they include it as well, right? Let them know, hey, GW coming up next week, November the 16th to November the 22nd. Get on board. And I always say, how do we utilize Global Entrepreneurship Week as a place that we can bring entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurship community closer, right? The pandemic has caused restrictions, making us go further apart. But we see that we could, by creating this whole entrepreneurship ecosystem, we can become closer together, right? So with that, be sure to check out tt.gew.co, where you can get all the listing of events, activities, what's happening for GW, and become part, and I'll say it again, the world, and especially Trinidad and Tobago, needs entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you, Shed. That was our general manager here at YPT, John Collins, sharing his passion through his perspectives. And we appreciate that. The Massey Foundation is considered one of our committed and resident sponsors. For the past 5 years, maybe more, they have been supporting our cause, supporting GW, supporting our entrepreneurial initiatives. And I think for that, we need to embrace and celebrate the Massey Foundation. And having said all of those beautiful things, I want to introduce Miss Adele Rose, Foundation Manager at the Massey Foundation. In fact, sometimes Adele knows the calendar before I do, and she would connect with me. So Adele, it is a pleasure to give us of your time this afternoon, and it's all yours now.
Thank you so much, Sandrine. Hello, everyone. All protocols observed. As Sandrine would have said, my name is Adele Rose, and I am the manager of the Massey Foundation. Massey's purpose lies in being a force for good, creating value, transforming life. And the foundation has the undeniable honor of making this purpose a reality through the funding of projects that alleviate poverty, promote sustainable development, and impact our youth, education, arts and culture, and communities. This, of course, includes initiatives such as Global Entrepreneurship Week and partners such as Youth Business Trinidad and Tobago. So I'd like to tell you a little story. Some of you may have heard it before, or if you were at different events that the foundation has sponsored as related to entrepreneurship. But some of you may not have heard it already. So here we go. Once upon a time, a young man, let's call him Harry, was born in Lincolnshire, England, to a reasonably well-off family. He was privately educated, trained as an engineer, and given the opportunity to gain work experience at different engineering companies in a number of positions, including as a draftsman, works manager, and marine engineer. At the age of 38, Harry left his homeland and migrated to the then British colony of Trinidad and Tobago to work. Within 10 years, he had established his own successful company in Trinidad. Sounds like a pretty sweet and easy life for an entrepreneur, right? So let's stick a pin in Harry's story for now, and let me introduce you to a new character who we'll call Charles. Charles was born in Trinidad in 1897 and grew up with 4 sisters. Maybe it was thanks to his siblings that he learned how to deal with adversity and sweet talk his way out of a situation. By the ripe old age of 15, Charles had to give up his formal education at the illustrious Queen's Royal College and join the workforce in order to help support his family. When World War I broke out, Charlie enlisted with the 8th Battalion of the British West Indian Regiment, serving in Italy and France, and rising to the rank of captain. Upon returning to Trinidad, he once again joined the workforce, but his interest was piqued by some new technology that had become popular globally and was slowly making its way into Trinidad and Tobago. At the age of 27, Charles therefore took a leap of faith and a heavy loan and formed his own company. He experienced some moderate success as an entrepreneur, at least until the Great Depression struck in the 1930s, wreaking havoc on the global economy and impacting the flow of commerce in Trinidad and Tobago. And at this point, Charles' story crossed paths with Harry's. With businesses in Trinidad faltering during this period, Harry and Charles were advised by their bankers to join forces in order to weather the storm, which they did. As a result of this collaboration in 1932, Harry and Charles became the proud joint owners of a little entity I suspect that you may have heard of before, the Neil and Massey Engineering Company Limited. As a result, these two entrepreneurs, Harry Neil and Charles Massey, understood and played to their individual strengths, with each allowing the other to control the aspects of their business that they were best tailored to. They were able to not just survive the Great Depression, but to create a legacy that still stands today. So what can you learn from Mr. Charles and Mr. Massey? One, that limited capital and resources can be an entrepreneur's best friend. Why? Because they encourage creative, innovative solutions and often force you to take the road less traveled, which in turn affords you a unique position in the market. Two, that timing is just as important as any other input. Taking that leap of faith at the right time can make all the difference in the world. In deciding on your timing, the best thing you can do is to know all the components of your environment and plan your actions to suit. Three, that passion is key. If you love what you do, then you're way more likely to be successful and invested. Choosing a product or an industry that you really care about is the best way to ensure that you're satisfied with the work that you do. And four, that keeping your company and your product offerings relevant is necessary for longevity. Complacency is the enemy not just of the entrepreneur, but of big business as well. Always strive to be better than your own standard. I often wonder if Harry Neil and Charles Massey could ever have conceived of what the future would hold for their company when they first started it in 1932, and what they would think about the regional powerhouse that Massey has become today. I hope that you use their history as a motivator for you to create your own and to soak up every bit of information that you're able to learn from the Global Entrepreneurship Week, from YBTT, and from your experiences as an entrepreneur. The Massey Foundation would like to thank YBTT for the opportunity to partner with them on this very worthwhile initiative over the past few years. Considering the current economy and all that COVID-19 has brought with it, Massey believes that this is a unique opportunity with exceptional timing to bring the diversification of our nation's business scope to the fore and to have you let your voice be heard in this conversation and conversion. We'd also like to thank all of our fellow sponsors and partners for their commitment to our youth and the nation's future. In closing, I'd like to leave you with some words from Charles Massey, who was once known as Trinidad's best salesman. He said, "I pick the brain of all the top executives who we deal with. That's the best education you can get. The important thing is to talk to people who are experienced and who have a track record in a particular industry. You don't have to invent the wheel yourself. You copy and you learn from it." I encourage you to use this year's GEW as a building block to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Adele. And of course, your historical perspectives on the birth of Leland Massey were warmly welcomed and embraced. Global Entrepreneurship Week can never be successful without the support of our partners. Our partners, I would say, make up 99% of the success of GW. There are partners who have been with us for years. Some have just joined us, said they're not leaving. It's like Denise Farmer, they're not leaving, staying with us. But there is one partner who, we look at, we look at their trajectory in terms of the support, not only for GW, but for youth entrepreneurship at the broadest level. Tamara Monlouis, who is the founder of Moneyvan Digital Solutions, became a GW partner 3 years ago. And she also does other work for YBTT, such as mentoring and training and so. She said she's not leaving and she's not leaving. So Tamara is here to bring, some very important remarks on behalf of the GW partner community. And it's my pleasure to introduce her to you.
Give thanks. Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure and an honor just to be selected to speak today. As I was thinking about all of this, I wanted to write a speech, right? I wanted to write the best possible speech, really be prepared as I am with my presentations. And then I had to take a step back and be like, well, COVID-19, none of us were prepared. We weren't prepared for anything, right? It was just kind of off the cuff. We were flying by the seat of our pants, right? So that's kind of how I wanted to approach this today, because I think it would be a little bit more heartfelt, So just a little bit about me. From Trinidad originally. I live in the US. The name of my company, Moneyvan Digital Marketing Solutions. I've trained in digital marketing in some really great companies in the US, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Hilton, but yet still there was that yearning to be an entrepreneur, right? As you move through the corporate ladders, you're thinking, well, this is the American dream that I came here to live, but yet still there was that yearning for entrepreneurship. And I always had a side hustle, and just like most entrepreneurs, right, having that side hustle and understanding you could do something on the side. But in 3 years ago, I decided to go full time. So I went back to Trinidad, launched the business in Trinidad with a workshop, Growing Beyond the Likes. It was amazing. And I met Sandrine that year through a really great friend of mine that I grew up with, Christopher Sion. He was a DJ at the radio station. Rest in peace, Chris, because this one call turned into this relationship that is now, blossoming and really pushing my business, pushing my mentees, really giving Moneyvan Digital a voice in digital marketing across the Caribbean, allowing me to take my expertise and really kind of show these small, medium businesses, these entrepreneurs, here's how the big guys are doing digital marketing. It's simple. It's really about, realigning with your customer, realigning your goals, understanding the fundamentals of your business, and then jumps in COVID-19, right? So now we have to think about digital in a way where we have to, it's not going anywhere. And we were all saying, this is a new normal, this is a new normal. Well, we've been digital for a very long time. We've just been using it as an accessory. So now we have to consider that we need to use digital in our business and get back to that customer-centric focus. But as entrepreneurs, we're able to really not just think outside the box, we're able to create new rules with digital. We're able to transcend boundaries with digital. So digital is really and truly the way forward for us. My team and I are here to just share all the knowledge about digital, to share everything we can share about metrics, about how to look back to the fundamentals of your business, and really leveraging all that information to help entrepreneurs grow their businesses online. We've all been in there, everybody like, oh God, I really like Facebook, on social media, I talk to my friends, I do all these things, I have likes, I have follows, but what does that mean? What does that really mean when it comes back to money in the bank? So many great companies in Trinidad right now doing amazing things with digital marketing, the Market Movers, Shop Carib, so many people doing amazing things with digital. So it's really a time for us to rethink and reimagine our businesses online. What does that look like? We've heard a lot of buzz terms this COVID-19, pivot. What is the pivot? How do we effectively pivot? How do we change? How do we think about this digital? How do we create a customer-centric experience through digital marketing? Because that's what it is, right? We need people to still feel connected to us. Shadron spoke about that earlier on, right? COVID-19 has brought us far apart, but yet so closer together. Some of us hate 2020, but some of us love 2020, right? It's that I love it, I hate it, but it's pushing us further. As entrepreneurs, we are survivors. That's what we do, we survive. So rethink, reimagine your business online. Just really think about what you can do, how you can touch your customer. Leverage leverage YBTT. You know, I really have to thank them for everything that they've done just to watch how they navigated through COVID-19, navigated entrepreneurs through COVID-19, really building a wall of security for their entrepreneurs to help them usher into this new digital age. So it's really been my pride and joy to be a part of this. As Sandrine say, we're not leaving. I don't know if that would have been Miss Soka's choice, but I'm never leaving. You know, it has been amazing. And I thank you guys so much. And, you know, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. And you are helping me to even push my business further, to rethink my business, to rethink my services, to understand how I can better serve these entrepreneurs. So, you know, COVID-19 has been hard, 2020 has been hard, but 2020 has been good. There are a lot of opportunities. And the other thing is digital, there are no rules, right? Everything else puts us in a box. Just remember, opportunities, create your own rules, step outside the box, and, you know, just rekindle that spirit. Yeah, give thanks.
Thank you so much, Tamara. You know, Tamara, I'm sure you could take another hour to share some thoughts, but
Sure.
we thank you so much, and we embrace your presence at multiple levels.
Thank you.
Dale Loughlin, Mrs. Dale Loughlin has been YBTT's chair for a number of years. Under Dale's leadership, YBTT has evolved at tremendous levels. I mean, it is too much, I will allow her to speak, but she's an awesome person. She's passionate. She understands the need of not only the youths, but the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem. She understands the navigation, and she also understands the role that YBTT plays in helping to advance the ecosystem. Of course, GW is one major conduit, but there are other conduits, and I will allow her to speak about that. But I really want to welcome Dale and thank her profusely for taking the time and sharing space with us at the launch of GW. Mrs. Loughlin, I welcome you to address our audience.
Sandrine, I'm blushing. I don't know if you can see that. But thank you for your lovely comments. You know, this launch of GEW every year is something I look forward to because it gives me a chance to give folks just a deeper insight into what's going on at youth business. So good afternoon to you all, to our GEW partners, members of the media, entrepreneurs, all of you joining us on Facebook and on Zoom. Adele and Tamara, it was so good hearing your stories, hearing the history and hearing the future as the both of you, as you both spoke. So let's look for a little bit at youth business and how we fit into the theme for GEW this year, reigniting our entrepreneurial spirit. I love that. See, for us at Youth Business, the resonance of this theme lies in our purpose and our why. To take entrepreneurship to the next level by empowering young entrepreneurs to build profitable, sustainable businesses. I think it was Adele who talked about timing. The urgency of this theme lies in where we are now, so beautifully described by Tamara. Entrepreneurs are people who solve problems. They see needs, they see problems, they solve them, and they survive and they move on. And 2020 has tested us all, hasn't it? YBTT, as supporters of entrepreneurs and as a stakeholder in the local, regional, and global entrepreneurship ecosystem, we have to embody and model entrepreneurship, thinking, and action in everything that we do if we are going to be credible influencers and exemplars. So we've had some good tests in 2020. Yeah? Shameless plug. Within 24 hours of the March 12th announcement by the Prime Minister, Chevron had his team together, pivoting to work virtually. By the following Monday, sessions were being repurposed. All sorts of new things started to happen, and all things happened in different ways because we realized that what we had to do was to continue supporting our entrepreneurs. Breaks your heart. There were some entrepreneurs who lost what they had like that overnight. They were shut down. So I'm really proud of the ways in which Chevron and his team responded. We together, we reimagined all the re's, we reimagined, we reprioritized, we reconnected, and we reworked our offerings, realizing what all the people who depended on us for support were facing themselves, and recommitting ourselves to the fact that we had to support. So today's launch of GEWTT 2020 as this online celebration, celebrated locally, but with 18 partners locally, but joining a global fraternity in over 170 countries, to me is amazing. And it's wonderful that we are able to do it. So the excitement now of the theme for us at YBTT is in the challenge that we have chosen for ourselves. Because if there ever was a time and a reason to reignite the entrepreneurial spirit, it is now. It is now. And to do this, we at YBTT believe that we have to be catalysts within the entrepreneurship ecosystem. We don't need to do everything, but we need to be catalysts for making things happen. So that means we have to think and we have to work and we have to move agilely and flexibly. And it's really important, we have to stay relevant to all our stakeholders. And as together we connect not only as partners and collaborators, but moving beyond that to co-creators in mutually sustaining relationships. We know the connections have deepened, have widened. We have to be leaders for thought, and we have to be innovators for action. So what are the strengths on which we're building? Our relationships. We have some amazing major donors who have worked with us over the years. United Way, Trinidad and Tobago, the Massey Foundation, Republic Bank, Shell, B-Mobile, IDB, Caribbean Development Bank, Exim Bank, the Agricultural Development Bank, just to name a few. We have our signature offerings, our Jumpstart program for the new entrepreneurs, and as the implementing partner for the Shell Livewire program, the Shell Livewire program for entrepreneurs who are escalating, who are scaling up. One of our live wires made it to the Shell Global Top 20 in 2019. And again, that has happened in 2020. We have to wait on the results, but we're just delighted to see how our entrepreneurs are profiling and representing on the global stage. Another one of our major strengths is our unique mentorship support program. And Reggie Ramlochan was awarded Youth Business International's Mentor Recognition Award for 2020. That happened last week, Wednesday. That's our mentorship program is one of the things that makes youth business Trinidad and Tobago unique. We're hosting GEW again, 11 years old. So I guess we kind of growing up. The fact that we have a reach to global entrepreneurship networks like Youth Business International in the UK And something that is definitely not last or least is a level of board and team engagement that makes YBTT continue to step up to serve you as our stakeholders with purpose and resolve and energy. So the new reality that we are all embracing is an important one, because you see, it has changed, it's going to continue to change. And in this 21st century, the really big struggle we have to battle against is a struggle of irrelevance. Not because we're useless to each other, but because we become useless from the viewpoint of the economic and political system. That means that at YBTT, we have to continue to do more, to do different, to evolve, to play a valuable role as igniters of the entrepreneurial spirit in this new economy and this new society. Described in the Phase 2 roadmap for Trinidad and Tobago, authored by the National Economic Recovery Committee. And I just want to quote something they said. The understanding is that new and increased investments must come from encouraging innovation, entrepreneurship, and diversification, inspiring new players in the market, both in and outside Trinidad and Tobago, making it easier for investors to do business and get projects activated and commercialized. YBTT is very clear on the role and responsibility we have as part of the ecosystem that's supporting this new economy and this new society for Trinidad and Tobago. And so we are giving priority going forward to social and green businesses, agriculture and agro-processing. We're leveraging up our mentorship program to help strengthen our entrepreneurs right through the process, from starting to scaling to sustaining. We're advocating for and deepening our involvement in igniting the entrepreneurial spirit at the secondary school level. That has to happen. We're leveraging our global networks and relationships to connect our local entrepreneurs with expanded opportunities for learning, for financing, and for market access. And we're leveraging the diversity of the entrepreneurial ecosystem by catalyzing the connections and the opportunities for mutual support. Again, it's not us or any other person or party doing it all. One of the things we've realized during this pandemic is that we're all in it together. And so my call to action to you, to us, beyond GEW, I'll go back to the words that were said a few minutes ago. The world needs more entrepreneurs. Trinidad and Tobago needs more entrepreneurs. And you know what? The support system for these entrepreneurs, the folks who have to reignite that entrepreneurial spirit and move it forward so that it blazes, is every one of us. Each and every one of us as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are part of the entrepreneurial support ecosystem. Whether we're entrepreneurs ourselves, whether we're investors, whether we're buyers, whether we're suppliers, or we're supporters. It's our individual and collective responsibility. And that's something we need to feel in our hearts so that it propels us to action. And already this is happening. I'm sure you have seen calls, support your neighborhood farmers market. Go to the pop-up shops. When you're spending for this Christmas, buy local. So folks, that's my call to action. Let's make it our business to support our community entrepreneurs and our local businesses. They need us to sustain. We need them to provide us with quality goods and services at fair prices. And there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. And we need each other to create in Trinidad and Tobago a country, society in which we can mature and our future generations can reach their fullest potential. So I thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dale. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really hope that everyone has paid attention to Dale's call, call to action in terms of us doing our part and supporting our young entrepreneurs. That's very, very important. Let's buy local, let's support them. Earlier in my remarks, I did say that each one of us in this space today, we are operating in a different place, in a different space, but we all working towards a common vision, which is to add value to the ecosystem and support the entrepreneurial community. And I'm hearing that, I've heard that, I should say, in all the speeches so far, and I want to commend our panelists. It is profound. And it gives me pleasure now, having said all of that, to introduce our keynote speaker, who is no stranger to the ecosystem space. Vashti Duki Singh is a private finance operations senior specialist at IDB Lab, the innovation lab of the IDB group, where she has facilitated the development and management of loan and grant operations for IDB Lab in Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, St. Lucia, Suriname, and Guyana. Her career experience spans over 28 years in professional service delivery, including 13 within the private sector and 15 with the IDB Lab. Over the course of her career, Vashti has worked on a broad range of topics, including the future of work, business climate improvement, ICT adoption by SMEs, climate smart agriculture, climate resilience, financial inclusion, cultural industries, and innovation. It's now my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Vashti Duki Singh, our keynote presenter at this formal launch of Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Thank you very much, Sandrine. And let me observe all protocols and provide greetings to fellow panelists. It is my pleasure today to speak to you at the launch of the Global Entrepreneurship Week in Trinidad and Tobago and across the world. So we're at a very pivotal moment, and I swear to God, if one more person tells me to pivot, I'm literally going to drown myself. But it is a pivotal moment. I look back at New Year's Eve 2020. I was looking at some pictures the other day of celebrating with my husband and friends, and who knew that the world was going to change so fundamentally, and how fundamentally that was going to also change entrepreneurship. We know in Trinidad and Tobago, in the wider region and in the world, that entrepreneurship has been a vehicle for social and economic transition. And that's an easy thing to say. But I want to give you a very real example of that. I am a product of entrepreneurial journey and the success of it. My father he left school at age 12, was able to reintegrate himself at age 31 to restart his education. And when he was in his 40s, he started a business. It was an accounting firm. He had one room, one desk, and his secretary sat opposite him. And when clients came, they used to sit in the hallway. Fast forward from 1976 on to 2020, where we are today. He has passed over 20 years, but that business has been able to sustain employment, create value for our clients, and be able to sustain my mom and her income for over 20 years. Now, if he had just worked a job, the money that he had saved, unless he was a mega millionaire, would have run out a long time ago. So this is a very, very real vehicle we have open to us. But where are we today? Well, YBTT is no stranger to us. Over 10 years ago, we started a loan and grant program to strengthen operations at the organization. At that time, Shadran showed his own entrepreneurial spirit as he was a support person at YBTT, and he took on the challenge of being able to implement a system to be able to really track the loan portfolio in a very systematic way. Here we are today. I have watched with great pride as YBTT has continued to carry the banner and has also evolved in terms of the services that they are providing. Today in Trinidad and Tobago, I just want to set a little bit of context. I'm one of those people that I get really annoyed sometimes when I look at Instagram and everybody's happy, laughing, how great this lockdown is and the opportunities. I'd like to just provide a little context and a little facts for the entrepreneurs out there that may be feeling the same pain and the same stress that I myself, still heading a family business, feel. IDB and Cornell University did a survey that included Trinidad and Tobago. In Trinidad and Tobago, 60% of entrepreneurs in the lower and middle income brackets were reported that they were affected by business closure, permanent or temporary. In terms of employment, in the lower and medium income brackets, respectively, almost 67% of people have been impacted by job loss, and in the medium bracket, nearly 50% of people. So the context of COVID-19 coming on top of some growth challenges our economy has had because of supply and demand conditions in our energy sector has hit us very hard. There's less disposable income out there. Social distancing and public health measures have reduced foot traffic and have also reduced the amount that people are willing to invest in the future. And that has very serious implications for entrepreneurship. Now, the fate really depends on what sector you're in. For some, they've been able to really take advantage of opportunities afforded. Maybe they're in health and safety products and services. But for others, there's some serious challenges that really can affect their survival, as the impact of the pandemic will continue to affect our economy, probably way beyond us getting a vaccine approved. So what do we do? I think as entrepreneurs, we really have to, first of all, acknowledge that this is a difficult time and it's okay to feel a little discouraged and to feel the grief sometimes of giving up what we've worked so hard to achieve and to establish. And we partnered recently with Francis Lewis of Res Consulting on a webinar on riding the COVID wave for SMEs. And he had some very sound advice that I'd like to share. Don't feel that you're in this alone. Get some people around you. Reach out to your mentor. Maybe they're family, friends. Maybe they're other entrepreneurs or established business people that you can just talk through these things. You know, in many ways within yourself, the changes that have to be made. But really talking out with other entrepreneurs, other advisors, people that are not as closely connected to your business can be very, very helpful in helping you to overcome the sadness you may feel, the guilt you may feel on difficult decisions, and give you the inspiration to really come back fighting. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint, as Francis said. Today, maybe we're looking to survive. Maybe we've got to really focus on that cash flow. But at the same time, we have to conserve some of our energy to rethink and reboot so that maybe early next year, we start to relaunch and really change the trajectory of what we offer, how we offer it, and to whom we offer it to. Those are not easy things to achieve, but they are the things that we need to do to be able to come out on the other side of this thriving, not just surviving, but thriving. I think as policymakers and ecosystem actors, what our responsibility to the entrepreneurs is that we need to really recognize that there are different types of businesses out there and that they may need different interventions. So for example, one of my co-panelists at the aforementioned event, Marlene Atzi, economist, gave us some figures that micro, small, and medium enterprises represent about 63% of our businesses in Trinidad and Tobago, but they're very differentiated. We have some that are innovation driven, and many of us want to get there. But we also have many that have more traditional business models. And then we have some which she has called the nano enterprises, maybe power of one, that some of them are perhaps just necessity driven. They're generating income for a family, and that is extremely important as the ones that are taking the moonshots. So different types of businesses require different types of intervention. So what is two of the key problems that as policymakers and innovation ecosystem actors, two of the immediate things that I think we could focus on? One is financial inclusion. Sometimes we think because people have bank accounts out there that they're financially included. This is not the case. The IDB says that in Trinidad and Tobago, there's a 35% gap in MSME credit, right? They may have access to a bank account, but they may not have access to even a credit card or any kind of working capital that they need to float their business, to keep operations running, and to invest for the future. One of the things that has been done in other jurisdictions as close as Barbados, and what we did in Trinidad and Tobago many years ago with quite a lot of success, was to put in place a guarantee program that would reduce the amount of collateral that an entrepreneur needs to bring to the table. Doesn't in any way minimize the rigor of the business plan that is required, but it does sort of allow them to access borrowing that they need to really move forward. The other gap that we see is digital inclusion. Now, 10 years ago, when we talked about digital inclusion, we were talking about access to a laptop and access to broadband. Today, we are talking about the ability to really leverage the digital tools that are available to us for business purposes. I see a lot of entrepreneurs moving to Instagram, to Facebook. I did a session in the Bahamas, a focus group with some entrepreneurs recently. Very small entrepreneurs, women-led. And it was amazing the amount of time that these women were spending to try and master these tools and figure out how to take their business online. When what they really need to be thinking about is their business model, their products, their services, and their customers. So in this area, we really need to take a more platform approach that allows micro and small businesses to be able to digitize, but also to focus on their business. And in that area, I came across recently Planting Seeds Marketplace. Planting Seeds Marketplace, set up by another Trini entrepreneur for subscription, not a charge on every transaction, allows for you to be online, to warehouse your goods for them, and to allow them to pick the orders, deliver, collect for you, and distribute the cash at the end of the week. Planting Seeds has moved from business of $50,000 per week when they started in March on a shoestring budget to today generating about $250,000 in sales per week. That is an amazing accomplishment, and there are many entrepreneurs that are benefiting from having an online presence without having to manage it themselves. So my call to the ecosystem partners as I wrap up today, it is critical, it is our duty, and it is our obligation to really consolidate and partner to provide integrated support. Just as Planting Seeds Marketplace allows they have digital presence, they have inventory management, they have delivery, and they have payments processing and deposit. We as ecosystem actors need to stop thinking about our projects and our programs and break those silos down. We are all relatively small organizations. We have limited resources, and we probably will have limited resources for the foreseeable future. So what we really need to do is to take a look at everything that is out there in the landscape to support entrepreneurs and to convert our partnerships and our relationships in a way that we are able, as YBTT, as IDB Lab, as our partners Kariri, as our partners at the Massey Foundation, able to really offer entrepreneurs an integrated suite of services, no matter where those services are coming from. It doesn't mean that we give up our identity. It doesn't mean that we give up our brand that we have all worked really hard to achieve. But the time is now for us to really come together and to be able to shape the future in a very positive and constructive way. So for example, we had the honor of really supporting a youth entrepreneurship program for 10 entrepreneurship support organizations in Latin America and the Caribbean, for which YBTT was a member. Also, their partners in Jamaica and Barbados. So there were 3 out of the 10 in the Latin American and Caribbean region. By coming together, these organizations were able to offer training over a 3-year period to 64,000 young people, many disadvantaged, create or strengthen 20,000 businesses, of which 86% increased sales and created 13,000 new jobs. That is an amazing accomplishment. And I guarantee you, as a development practitioner who has been in the field for many years, if we had set up 10 different projects in 10 different countries, the results would not have been the same. So that program really taught us as an institution and those who participated in that integrated services really generate better outcomes for entrepreneurs. That in doing so, we really build sustainability of our own services, which allows us to sustain businesses into the future. That we, in creating a vibrant network, we together can rise, we together can succeed, and we evolve from a community of practitioners that maybe share relationships, share tools, and talk to each other, to a community of practitioners that work together to solve problems. And I would just like to close, because I know we have a hard stop, by saying, reiterating what Dale said. 40% of revenues from many businesses are generated between Diwali and Christmas. So what do we need to do? As individuals, we need to support and encourage. I see the Honorable Prime Minister graced the upmarket yesterday. I hope he bought from many of the entrepreneurs there, because they have been having a tough time of it. But even if you can't buy something, you can reach out and encourage those entrepreneurs with just a few words, or even like their page and put a comment. It really helps them on that journey. They may be having the worst of days, and that can lift them to face another day. As ecosystem partners, in the new year that fast approaches, let's really look at new ways of coming together so that we can collectively lift these entrepreneurs, so that as a country, we can rise. We can rise to the challenge, and we can rise to the opportunities that are in front of us. And to the entrepreneurs, I just want to close by saying, be courageous. We know it's difficult. Find that strength within you, reach out, recognize it's okay to feel discouraged, but we don't dwell in that discouragement. There are people there that will help you. Maybe they can't help you financially, but maybe they can help you with sales, or refer a customer, or just give you some encouragement in your day. Find those positive people and latch on to them. As we move future forward, you are the future. We are not, as a country, going back to the days where the oil and gas sector made everything great. Our future is in entrepreneurship. And just as my family moved in a generation from basically dropping out of school to being able to complete education, and today I'm sitting in front of you with the blessing of being able to be part of a development institution that can help lift, that can help strengthen, that can help sustain. It's only because my father took that entrepreneurial journey. His customers supported him. My mother, who didn't work, was there to support him and support us as children. And that is my hope and my dream for all of you going forward, that we will look back in 2030 and we'll say, wow, that 2020, but look at where we are today. Keep hope, keep strong. I will be supporting you with everything that I buy. And let's not make Jeff Bezos rich. That's how I'd like to conclude. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right. And thank you, Vashti. All right. So I guess the theme for today is support local. And I would like to iterate. So Sandra allowed me to close the session today. And I would like to reiterate the points brought forward by all the speakers today. Ensure that you take part in GW 2020 and take part in the GW event. And I always say, you got to be in it to win it. Well, to be a part of GW and to be an entrepreneur, it's just up to you, right? You have to be in it. And I always tell persons there's 5 things to take away from GW, either as a GW partner or either as a GW participant. Make sure that you get all the resources and tools that you need to go forward with your business. If there's a competition, make sure that you're part of the competition, you're viewing the competition, you're encouraging those who are in the competition. If you're at an event, make sure networking is on top of your mind, right? Make sure you're networking in that event. Entrepreneurs, we need those policies to make sure you're reaching out to those policy makers, you're reading those policies, making sure that you understand those policies and encouraging those to go in favor of the entrepreneurs. And lastly, Global Entrepreneurship Week is a time to celebrate. Celebrate entrepreneurs, celebrate entrepreneurship. So whether it's a matter of throwing on a GW partner, thank you for having this, encouraging another entrepreneur, as Vashi said, go out to the up markets, the pop-up shop, support local, and get out there. So with that, I want to officially bring Global Entrepreneurship Week 2020 for Trinidad and Tobago officially open. This week, I know we have, right, in the next minute, if you tune into Power 102, you're going to hear some of our GW partners across there. This Friday, we have the Shell Livewire Demo and Pitch Day. And then from Monday straight to the next week, it's events, activities, competitions, celebration, resources. So get out there and get in it. GW 2020. Thank you.